Hello and welcome to the York Creators Podcast. My name is Ben Porter, and each week you can join me as I chat to someone from York's creative community. This week's guest is Daniel Maule. Daniel is a director and screenwriter from York, who has just completed his first feature film entitled Our End, which will be released later this year. We chat about his approach to screenwriting and how projects develop from one idea to another, the challenges of shooting his first feature in 14 straight days with no breaks, and the ease of discovering inspiration in the world around you during the times when you finally allow yourself to unplug. So Dan, welcome to the podcast.
Cheers for having me.
So if I think back to the first time that I met you, I think it was about 2015, and we were at a Bring Your Own Film Night at Harper & Carr.
Yeah.
Just so people have context, can you tell me whereabouts you were at that point in your life and how things have changed over the last few years?
In 2015, I was at college. I was in my second year studying film, media, photography, because I did my first year and chose a load of academic subjects, which I did terribly at.
Mm-hmm. Is that York College?
Yeah, York College, yeah. And then, finished college. I made a short film just as I was leaving. And then in that summer, I wrote a feature film, which we have filmed, edited, and is now finished. It's called Our End. So that'll be through festivals this year. That'll be exciting to put out.
So tell me about your experience of college. Was that a positive experience, or was it? Because I hear very mixed things from different people, and I think some personalities it suits, some it doesn't.
Well, York College was great for me. I don't think I would have been sixth form wouldn't have been good for me, because I think from secondary to college, I was able to kind of reinvent myself, because everybody doesn't really know who they are in secondary, and then by the end of it, they kind of get an inkling. So at college, I was able to choose subjects that I knew I'd be interested in, rather than having to do everything. And
was that a conscious thing, thinking about reinventing yourself, or an unconscious thing?
Because
I think everybody does it, but not everyone's aware of it at the time, and those that are tend to sometimes do better of it.
I think I was kind of aware of it. Yeah.
Because a lot of that's the process of being an artist, is sort of realising that, like, okay, I'm not just this one thing, I can do many things, and being open to that.
Yeah, I think that was it, essentially. I loved college, just being able to do exactly what you wanted to do. And I kind of tied every subject into one another, so that the photography helped the media and the film and vice versa, so that I was just kind of, it was like uni. I mean, I don't know if it was like uni. I didn't go to uni.
Yeah, I didn't either.
But I had a great experience. What were the people's experiences that you said were not as good?
It just depends. I mean, some people, they're very much, I think if you've already got experience or something, and then you join a class where not everyone has that much experience, you can sort of feel held back. Or it could be the opposite. You know, you could join something and you could really like it and not be good at it straight away and really be put down by that. I was talking to someone the other day, and she said her daughter had been really put off photography because the teacher was just really negative about all the work.
Right.
And it's a horrible experience to have, particularly with something creative, when it's like taking a piece of yourself and showing it to somebody else. For someone to say that's no good, it can be a really difficult thing to sort of face up to.
That is true, yeah. I mean, oddly enough, our teacher did do that, but my reaction was like the opposite, because when we all first started, we had to I think they just said something as generic as go and take a photo that you think is like the best photo you can take. And then they looked at them all and essentially said every one of them was terrible. But then they explained why they were terrible, which I think was the kind of kick that we were like, oh, right, we have to kind of analyze what we were doing and understand why we were doing it, because maybe one or two people knew a bit about photography, but the rest of us didn't know a thing.
Yeah.
So
often it's more in the way that they tell you rather than what they tell you.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's true. We had very nice teachers, so I think that was part of it.
So are you someone that, if I tell you not to go and jump off a bridge, you'll go and do it? Are you that kind of person?
Yeah, I go against the authority.
Yeah, I get people tell me I can't do something, I really want to do it.
Yeah, even if I'm not even interested in, I'll just go do it anyway, just to prove them wrong.
So what made you, after that, want to start writing short films and things like that? Because you could have gone into commercial work, you could have gone into photography. What pushed you towards that?
I think when we were studying film, we were again taught how to deconstruct and analyze every part of it, and through that I was just fascinated with the way that people can communicate different themes through every different aspect of a film, like through the cinematography, the audio, the kind of colors that they use in clothing and everything like that. And I loved that so much that I thought I'll just try and replicate that in a way that I've seen it been done. So going into commercial stuff straight away wasn't really something that I had in mind, because it wasn't something that we analysed and I kind of fell in love with, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So what is it that draws you to films in general?
I think it's just like the most wonderful way of telling stories. I don't think there's any other medium that quite gets to the heart of it as it does, because it uses every single, I know I was going to say every sense, but it's not like 5D.
Maybe one day.
Not yet.
It's a very visceral thing, isn't it? Having images and sound and everything in front of you.
Yeah. I think it's not the same as like reading a book or listening to music or even watching TV. I think it's completely different. Just trying to think why, but
well, I guess. I mean, my take on it is often you've got so many different angles and you've got the edit, and that is really where it comes together, when you can combine so many different things into one experience.
Yeah.
Because I was reading a book on editing, and it was saying that editing shouldn't work. If you could take an image of a foot standing on the floor, which could be shot in one country in one decade, and then you could take another image of a deer turning its head, which could be shot the other side of the world 50 years later, but you put those two images together and you think, something's making a noise in that forest there. Even though the two things are entirely disconnected, your brain connects them together. Yeah,
that's true.
So how do you approach editing? Do you do it yourself? Do you get other people to edit?
Yeah, I don't do sound editing. I kind of like to have a hand in every little bit of the process, but sound editing is not my strong suit. But editing, I love doing.
Well, it's good that you realise that, because some people they try and do everything and then they just ruin it.
Yeah, I'm just like, I think, editing and cinematography I enjoy, but I'm not great at. I think if I had the budget to do a project with a proper cinematographer, I'd choose to do that rather than do it myself. But if I had the budget to get an editor in, I'd prefer to do it. Just because I think it's where you find the story after because it's one thing writing the story and then filming it, but then all you're left with after that is just a collection of shots that you think, I know what this story is in my head, but I'm the one that's going to have to translate exactly each tiny little beat into the editing. And I think it's much easier to do that yourself rather than have to communicate that to somebody, because you can just show them afterwards. You're like,
as long as you've got the patience.
Yeah, it takes quite a while. Well, I mean, the first, I rushed through the first draft of Our End. I think I did it in like 3 weeks, and then it was like 2.5 hours long, and I thought, this is great. This is like the best thing ever. It's gonna be 2.5 hours long. I'm gonna be a director that does his first film. It's 2.5 hours long, and everyone's gonna love it. And then like a week after, I was like, I need to take about an hour out of this. It's terrible.
Well, it's just the creative process, isn't it? You have an idea, you think this is going to be amazing. You work and you think, this isn't very good. And then you get to a point where you think, this is horrible, I don't want to do it anymore. And then you push through that, and then you end up being like, this is actually all right.
Yeah. So. Have you had any projects like that recently?
Well, a few, but client projects are always something different. The client always ruins it. So.
Yeah, that's true.
But we've not done too many personal projects this year. We've done a couple. We did one for York Fashion Week, which was good fun. That was mainly just to work with a stylist, because we know how to make a film, but we're no expert in fashion and things like that. So to collaborate with people who have that knowledge of things was really good, and it really boosted the production value of the shoot. So. And then we ended up using her on another shoot a few weeks later. So it was a good experience, and helping each other out, and then ends up in more work. So
who was it?
The fashion stylist, she was called Caroline Higginbottom. She's got a company called Season Style, based in York. She often does like wardrobe fit outs for women, kind of middle-aged women. But she kind of took the challenge of, we gave her Peaky Blinders as like an inspiration, and then we just kind of said, female artist, make her look arty. Yeah. And then the last person was supposed to be a motorbiker, but then the motorbike disappeared out of the shoot at the last minute. It wasn't working, so we had to turn him into a lumberjack, but that still worked quite well.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, he was a carpenter, not a lumberjack.
I was gonna,
But,
lumberjack.
you know, that kind of sort of hipster big jacket. And
Right, yeah.
we got a flaming bin, set that on fire. So
Yeah.
the whole shoot worked quite well together. But
Yeah.
it was another one of those things where everything goes wrong, and you know, you just kind of got to figure it out.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever been a shoot in the history of filmmaking that's ever gone smoothly.
That's your job as a director, isn't it, or a producer, to fix the problems.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
So if we look at your writing process, then
Yeah.
do you have a particular routine when you write? Do you find you write better at a certain time of day, or when you've had a certain stimulus?
Find I work better at night. I like working. If I'm just writing, I like to try and pull an all-nighter and just go throughout. Because I find if you get like an inkling of a good idea, and you start writing, but then look at the time and think, oh, I need to go to bed or something, and I'm not able to get back into that workflow the next day. Sure. So I'll just be like, I'm just going to write for 10 hours and then look back on it and go, yeah, that's all terrible, but that bit's not too bad. And then, and you develop that tiny little bit. But
do you find you're able to write without editing yourself? Because that's something I struggle with a lot. I used to blog a bit, or even when I was writing music and things like that, I'd write a bit and then I'd stop and be like, oh no, I want to change it. And then you spend so long changing those bits you've just written that you just go in circles.
Yeah.
Are you able to split the two things apart?
Kind of. Like, if I'm writing like a dialogue scene, I'll just try and... Because there's always like one or 2 points that you're like, they have to say this for it to lead into the next scene or something. So I try and get like the most basic points down, and then even if it is just them outwardly just saying this, we need to go here or something nobody would ever say,
right.
Just so that I'm like, okay, that's what this scene is for, and then I'll just write it out like that, and then go back to it and go, okay, let's go in more depth and understand more about what they're talking about and make that line sound more natural, and just kind of plump it out, essentially.
When you're writing, do you have real people in mind that you're kind of projecting onto the page, or do you invent characters completely from scratch? Or?
I find I use a lot of my own like little stories here and there in my writing, just because I think if it's a scene that you want to just have people just talking about nothing, there's no real tension or any point to the scene or anything like that, and you're going to make up a story that they're talking about, then I've found that it's just easier to write from what you know, and then you can put as much real detail in there as possible, because otherwise I've tried to write scenes just from nothing like that, and it's always seemed a bit forced and unnatural.
Do you find it makes you change the way that you kind of perceive everyday life? Like, are you ever just walking along and you hear something and you think, that would be a great line, and you just write it down on your phone?
Yeah, I do that all the time. Yeah, I've got like, just on the notes app on my phone, I've got like 1,000 little things of just things I've noticed, or people I've noticed, or just random conversations on the bus that you hear or something like that, that I'm just like, I'll try and maybe put that into a line or a scene here and there or something like that.
Do you find there are any particular places where you just keep getting those ideas and you can't stop it? Because for me, it's art galleries. Whenever I go to an art gallery, even if I hate the art that's on the wall, I'm always thinking, why do I hate this? Like, how would I make it better? Like, oh yeah, that. And suddenly I'm like writing ideas about some art installation that I'm probably never going to do. But it's just, maybe one day it'll become a film, or it'll become a song, or it'll become something. Yeah,
I do that. Yeah, art galleries are always like that, but I get them on like my way home from wherever I am, just like, because I've normally got my headphones on all day from just like working on a laptop or listening to music or whatever, and then I always just make sure to have 15 minutes without having to have my headphones on, and when walking home you just like hear everything, and that's normally where I hear that kind of thing. Yeah.
So when it came to actually the time of filming our end, what were some of the challenges that you faced?
I think the biggest one was time of everything. I think I'm somehow managed to kind of pull it all together, but we shot it all in 14 straight days, which...
No breaks?
No. I was advised heavily against that. But I thought, you know what, it'll be fine. There's only 2 of us doing the full 14 days. Everyone else had a break here and there, and it was me and lead actress Poppy Pedder, who we were pretty dead by day 11. That kind of became like a running joke throughout the entire production, where we were just like, if either of us were just about to fall asleep mid-take, we just go, yeah, it is day 12, to be fair. We're about to die. But,
did that work well for the film, given the subject matter? Or?
Kind of.
We should probably also explain a synopsis of the film as well.
Oh, yeah. So our end is about a woman whose partner dies, and the film is about her going through the grieving process and struggling to cope with everything.
Why did you want to tell that story?
Why did I tell? It wasn't like I had to tell this kind of story kind of thing. It kind of naturally came about. It didn't start off like that at all when I originally wrote it. It was about a woman who escaped she was kidnapped. Mm-hmm. She escaped her captor, but the entire film took place after the incident, so you never saw anything that happened beforehand, and it was just about that. And I suppose the kind of distraughtness, that's not a word, but
yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah, of that character kind of stayed throughout the entire thing. But yeah, it developed from that. So there wasn't any point where I was thinking I had to tell a story about this particular subject matter or anything like that.
So when are people going to get to see it?
Soon. The trailer will be out when this podcast is, so that'll be good.
Next week?
Yeah, next week.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be today when people are watching it. But
yeah, today. Go watch it.
And will people be able to come along and see it in a theatre or online?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just need to figure out exactly where and when, but it will definitely happen. Definitely.
So if they want to keep in touch and things like that, if they want to see more of your work, where should they go?
They should go to NA Pictures on Facebook and NA Site on Instagram. That's where all updates and everything are posted.
What does NA stand for? Or is that
non-applicable?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just needed a name.
Yeah, thought it sounded cool.
Great. And if people, want to get in touch, want to ask you some questions, are you very happy for them to do that?
Oh yeah, more than. Yeah, I'm always looking for people to collaborate with on any kind of project at all. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for being on the podcast.
No worries, man. It was lovely.